on the intro card. Yeah, don't say it's not. We love you here.
I'm sorry, I don't know what I was thinking.
I'm John Maher. That's Abby Brooks and Aaron Brooks. We're still smack dab in the middle of this Pennsylvania heat wave. I don't know if you live in Pennsylvania, but Jesus, it's unseasonably hot in Pennsylvania. How's it feeling up there?
Yeah, it's sweaty. And,
it is sweaty.
And the fan is off for the podcast.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Well, today, unprecedented. There was enough movies coming out and 2 movies that were worth talking about. So we didn't even decide. We said we're going to cover them both. We're going to give you the short and sweet of this movie. First movie we're covering, legacy movie. Her dad's a director. Her brother's a director. What does Kate have to say?
While we every day bear witness to the catastrophic ecological collapse that is plaguing our planet, we must not forget that this is, above all, a human crisis.
I am in favor of this government doing whatever it takes to win this war.
It's not a war. Wars have opposing sides.
Humanity is the opposing side. We are engaged in nothing less than a life and death struggle against our own extinction.
We are so happy you all joined us tonight for a family dinner.
What is going on?
We've decided to enlist. What? She's gone.
Sorry, I can't do it. I will always love you.
Hi, I'm Bob.
It's them!
Oh, they're early.
You're not gonna like this, but we're here to collect 2 bodies.
I already told you Dawn left.
And that's unfortunate. Oh! But the rules are the same for everybody. Think about your lives. I'm sure one of you is gonna realize that it's not all that great.
I know we're family and all, but if Bob needs a second body, it's not gonna be mine.
What are they still doing in the house?
You know, based on my experience in similar situations, I want to say, yeah, killing one another. You think I'm the bad guy, but I'm doing important work to save the planet.
We can get through this, but we have to stick together.
It's been a hell of a night, huh?
You know what? I hadn't watched the trailer, but as far as like just getting to the goddamn point, not necessarily giving away the whole movie, but they set it up pretty good in that trailer. That I couldn't have described it better. Is it even worth describing? Do you guys want to reiterate what that trailer said?
I mean, yeah, I can take this one being an unadopted Cronenberg myself, going by the last surname of Brooks. With this movie, it's basically a near future or a dystopian world where the overpopulation, I don't know if you've heard, that's a problem with people. And it's a problem in this world. They need 20% of the government says they need 20% of the population to enlist, which means kill themselves for a monetary amount of money to help with the world's population, because ecological damage and humans are evil and all the other things that this movie very on the nose discusses, which I think and I hope is intentional.
Yeah. Abby, your initial thoughts?
Yeah, so I feel like we didn't know about this movie until somewhat recent. And I mean, my initial thoughts are that this was a pretty decent, like for a very first movie, I think this was a really decent first debut. The idea of the whole plot is really interesting, and the ideas and like issues, I guess, that she brings up in the movie are all very interesting. So yeah, I think it's really solid. I mean, I think there's some stuff that didn't really work, but it's definitely a solid debut movie.
Yeah, I think this is getting like a lukewarm reception out there in the horror community. I think my take, this is just my hot take of the horror community. I think they saw the last name Cronenberg and they're like, well, fuck, we just saw Infinity Pool. Why isn't this Infinity Pool? And I was like, geez, give her a chance. Like, go watch Shivers and like tell me David was cooking in the 70s.
Yeah, or even Antiviral. Like Antiviral, I think this movie and Antiviral, which is Brandon Cronenberg's first movie, I think it's very similar. They have like an ambitious idea that's definitely been discussed before. And I don't think they're trying to break this new ground with what they're discussing necessarily. But yeah, you go into this expecting it to kind of echo the Cronenbergs because of how much Brandon and David kind of share. And I was actually very pleasantly surprised that it wasn't just another French-Canadian weirdo girl edition with Caitlin. Like, she has her own voice here. And I think the movie looked really good as well. The cinematographer is the same cinematographer from Crimes of the Future. So David Koch, who's doing The Shrouds, which is going to be premiering at Cannes with David Cronenberg's new movie. So he's just in with the Cronenbergs now, which is nice. But Caitlin's like a photographer, and you can tell like with how it's shot. It's very well framed and very well shot. Like throughout, it looks good. Even though it's a little bit of a boring kind of style, it looks good. It's safe to me. Like it looks good.
I would agree with that. I think the strongest part of this movie is like she got like a really good cast. Like these aren't like A-list actors, but they're all like seasoned comedic actors. Like JWMaher, we know from everything. Emily Hampshire from Schitt's Creek. Enrico Colantoni. They're all like people that we know can do comedy, and they're all in this movie doing what they do best. I mean, and I think one of the other small missteps is this is way more comedy than horror. There's a lot of comedy in this movie. Oh, and Peter Gallagher. I forgot Peter Gallagher. Who else?
Yeah. No, it's almost all comedy. There's very
dark comedy, but it's still a comedy.
Yeah, it's a societal horror if you want to. And like this is one of the cool things kind of about the horror genre is like they're always like just welcoming and inclusive. Like they're like, if you want to be considered horror, we'll find a way to view you in such a lens if you're willing to be part. And it's a Cronin. I'm curious to see what she does. Like I'm curious to see how she does like moving forward for sure, because I'm wondering if she's just going to kind of lean into the comedy always. And if that's the case, like what holds us back from being really funny is the writing, because it is just a little bit kind of sophomoric with kind of the level it goes to. But that's like what's keeping this. And I'll hold that for how we think, or can we think?
I think the main thing that people are going to say is like, when you hear the name Cronenberg, you expect some kind of weird scene where like, like a ball sack comes out of the back of somebody's head or something. And there was none of that happening in this movie. So I guess people just like left with a sour taste. And Happy, what do you think?
I mean, I don't think there needed to be any of that. And I think that's kind of what makes her unique as opposed to the other two. Like it's inevitable. Like people are going to compare her to her dad and brother, and they're doing their own thing. And it's kind of nice to see her doing something different. It's a commentary on, honestly, like it could be a commentary on a lot of stuff happening today as well. And I think it's a story that she wanted to tell. She wanted to make it a really dark comedy. And I like that it was her own thing and that she's not having weird like body horror. Like I don't think she needed that. And I didn't think she needed that in a movie like this either, with this type of plot and all of that.
I would agree. I just think that I don't want to say hate, but like the criticism is coming from a world of like, well, this is what I expect. I think if that's what you think, that's a very douchey way to approach this.
Yeah.
And I also,
sir, ma'am, you're a douchebag. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah. And I also just think like it's, it's the price of expectations for sure. Like this at the end of the day, and I don't mean this in a bad way. It's kind of an average to slightly above average movie. And when you have the name Cronenberg behind you, like slightly average, like I felt like Antiviral got kind of punished when it first came out too. Like it was just, I think, overhated. I think honestly,
with time, I think she can do something really good.
I agree. 100%. We're doing a little bit of a shorter episode. Well, we're the same length episode. We're just going to fit a lot in. So we're going to cut some stuff. I'm definitely cutting. John can fix it. We already talked about what needs to be done in this movie. Let's just jump right to our ratings. And I'll start. Why the hell not? I went ahead and like I was pleasantly surprised. Like I like even the actors I'm not familiar with. I like them. I like the little kid. I like all the people I recognize. I think it hit. Is it like the best script I've ever seen in my life? No. But is it like, for what, did it get the point across in a funny way? Yeah. So I was entertained the whole time. I'm not going to say it's like the best movie of the year. Not going to make my top 10, but I do think it's worth 3.5 videotapes out of 5. Abby, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that this movie is definitely worth watching at least once, just to see it. It's not boring. It keeps your attention. It's very straightforward. It tells you exactly what, like, it's very obvious with what the message is and what they are trying to say, which is fine. So it's definitely worth watch. I'd give it 3.5 as well.
All right. Aaron?
Yeah, it definitely has a lot to say. Other thing that we didn't get to bring up was one of the kids who's adopted is also of a different race. So there's like the racial aspect like thrown in there too. It's just like, I think it's just an example of like an ambitious first movie where they want to throw so many ideas and don't just commit to a couple. So I just wanted
all the hot topics.
Yeah, and Enrique.
Yeah, there's drug addiction, the whole thing. Yeah,
like everything was in there and being discussed, and it's just like, I think that she'll get better over her movies, and even this movie, maybe once we get used to her flavors a little better. Enrique Colantoni also was amazing in this movie as Bob. He's the highlight of the movie. By far, it's basically just like Kevin James bald is like it really is. So good time. Reminded me of Knives Out and The Purge also, and I liked it more than those movies because I don't like Knives Out. So my rating for this movie as a Cronenberg movie, I did bump it up 0.5 star. I'll be honest. If this didn't have a Cronenberg behind it, probably a 3. It's going to be a 3.5 for me because I want to encourage Caitlin, my sister from another mister, to continue to make movies. So yeah, it was good enough. And I really like Jay Baruchel. And he was annoying as an asshole in this movie. So
I love that he's like an expert, but everyone just treats him like an asshole. It's like a doctor.
Yeah, no, there's some potential here, so I'm looking forward to seeing what she does next.
Yeah, so we had a second movie this week. Also, another. I don't know if it's a French movie, but like it definitely had a huge following in French Canada. This was at the Toronto International Film Festival last year, and they just kept it from us in America. They just said, no, you guys don't get to watch this movie. But this is Sebastian Vanicek's Infested.
Oh, c'est quoi tout ça, Ali, là?
Quoi, ça t'intéresse, les bestioles?
Oh, mais ça m'intéresse à mort.
Fais gaffe quand même, hein.
T'inquiète, je te dis, moi je suis un pro. Je te ramène à la maison. Let's go.
Comment t'as fait pour pécho ça?
Toi, tu kiffes dormir avec ça dans ta chambre. Non, mais tu sais qui leur parle? Bah, sérieux.
Je te promets, meuf.
Théo, tu te caches, Théo. Tu te fous de ma gueule.
Il a fait un malaise, c'est ça?
Sa gueule, c'était pas un malaise, ça.
Un truc qui tue aussi rapidement, c'est impossible, non?
Ce qu'il avait au bras, là, ça vient pas d'une seringue.
Si ça vient pas d'une seringue, ça vient de quoi, alors?
Vas-y. Chaud.
What I'll say right off the bat, I'm going to say it, so I'll take the heat for saying it. This is the movie Sting thinks it was. Like when they wrapped Sting, like, man, we did it. This is arachnophobia for the 21st century. Bullshit. Infested is arachnophobia for the 21st century. If you don't like spiders, this movie will send you to the hospital. Like you will pass out if you can't stand spiders. This movie goes places. What do you guys think?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I agree. It's hard to not compare this to Sting because apparently this is the year of the spider movies. But yeah, this is a lot better than that one. The spiders in this one especially they are pretty scary. Like there were moments where just spiders were like flying all over the place and both of us were like audibly like, like that's terrifying. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'd prefer this to Sting.
Yeah, I think that I want to write my AMC about the Scream Unseen, and I think they should have switched the Spider movies, because I just imagine seeing this in a theater, my rating probably would have went up at probably a half star, most likely, because I do think that not having that surround sound, like, yes, I have a sound bar here, but there was something missing from watching this at home, which didn't completely take away from it. But the spiders are amazing looking in this movie, particularly as they're smaller. I think as they got a little bigger, they got a little faker looking and took me out. But yeah, the spiders are really good in this movie, and I wasn't expecting this like loosely structured Thing remake, which this movie really is, like, very clearly to me throughout.
I compared it more to it's not a found footage movie, obviously, but if it was a found footage movie, this is Wreck with spiders, because you have the whole aspect where, like, yeah,
they're trapped in the building.
The government realizes really quick that something's wrong here, and they lock that building down to the point that they can't get out. And they try to get out, and they're just being forced back into the building, which is awesome. And I think the other thing where they pick up the fumble that Sting did is, like, in Sting, you have one alien, one spider going through this whole building. In this movie, understandably, the spiders just keep reproducing and reproducing to the point that the building becomes like a cocoon, which is way more realistic. Yeah, the building becomes infested. It's way more realistic that way, rather than having like the Predator as a spider. Like this is way more. I don't want to say it's like more accessible, because I don't want to access this world, but like it's definitely like
more believable. It's definitely more believable, and things like that. And can you just put up the spoiler thing? Because
oh yeah, should have had that up the whole time.
Because we don't really need to talk about the plot of this movie. It's about a kid who likes bugs, and he buys a spider that he was warned was poisonous, and then he puts into a shoebox, and it gets out of the shoebox, and all hell breaks loose. A little bit of a forced trigger point for this premise, which you just kind of got to get over. Like, this guy's like a bug expert. He has all these bug containers and everything. He's like, I'm going to put this in like this wet shoebox where like it can just like wiggle its way out. And this guy's already told me it's poisonous, but fuck it, it's just poisonous. Like, so that was a little bit rough for me. He was out of terrariums. He didn't have a terrarium ready. This movie is a little bit too good to start in that way, and I think that like it really is. And I feel like there was a better, more clever way to. And there was a couple other parts in this movie where it just kind of had that like very clever, very obvious. Like, if you've seen a horror movie, like, you knew that the timing light was going to play a factor. You knew that the light that couldn't, it's like, okay, look at, they're focusing on that. Oh, that guy's breaking. He's definitely going to get that box and rip it open. Like, it's like, okay, like, yes, but those things didn't keep me from really enjoying this movie and itching myself like every 5 seconds. I would say
also, this is also a directorial debut. I think a lot of the stuff you're saying, not that I don't personally know Sebastian Vanicek, but like clearly he just wanted to make a movie. And a lot of the stuff is simple, a lot of the stuff is easy, but I think it doesn't hurt the movie really. It's just
well executed.
When we look at it through a critical lens, we're like, oh, here's how we could do it better. But he hits for a Shudder movie. This is breaking the window of cars in the parking lot. Home run.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I'll let Abby. I don't mean to cut but yeah, no, this of the two directorial debuts, I hate to say it, is the stronger directorial debut, I think. And it makes a lot of sense that this guy's getting the chance on an Evil Dead movie. I think that is just perfect setup for Sebastian. And it was interesting because I was listening to an interview with him as I was walking Chico right before this, and he mentioned how he also wanted to add a societal lens to this movie, where he's saying essentially the way that the spiders are being treated is how like the lower class people in France are being treated, which are being represented in this movie. So by the police and the government kind of holding them in, treating them in that way, it was kind of his way of trying to make a societal message, which I like. He didn't go over the top to point it out, but there's that like kind of metaphorical similarity between how the spiders are treated and how people are treated by.
That's cool.
Yeah. Good.
And I think there's also like some great, like, I don't want to say this isn't necessarily like I guess it is an action horror movie. There's some good action in this movie. Like like where they're just running around and there's a big, huge gunfight where like it's like the SWAT team versus the spiders. Like it gets real crazy. Like I have to admit, like the way the action is shot is like way beyond what I would expect. I don't know what kind of shorts this guy did before this, but the way he shoots the action is like really good.
Yeah,
agreed.
No, I agree with everything that has been said so far. The action is definitely really good. I do really like the idea of this guy directing the next Evil Dead movie. It even has like little things that kind of remind me of Evil Dead Rise. They're in a dilapidated apartment building. Even just like when the people die, like when they get bit, just like a lot of it's actually like pretty gruesome and gross. So just all of that, I think, and even just the look of all of the spiders, I didn't think that they looked that bad when they were bigger. It didn't look like an obviously fake, like CGI kind of thing. Like I thought it looked pretty decent. So all of that, I mean, I could definitely see him doing something bigger with a lot more money, you know, and Evil Dead. I think that would be perfect.
I agree with all that stuff. That's basically it. For that, we'll just wrap that up. Let's go right to our ratings. We're trucking along. Well, let's just keep the same order. I'll start again. I loved Infested. Like, and honestly, it's not even that I hate Sting. It's just like I knew. I hate that I have to keep comparing it to Sting, but they've given us no choice. Walking at Sting, I was like, all right, it's fine. Walking at this, I was like, oh, look, you can do this. Look how easy it was to do this. So this is a 4 out of 5 for me. Like, I'm excited if he gets the backing of, like, I don't know who, I'm assuming like Raimi's gonna help him produce this Evil Dead movie, and he'll have all the people that were involved. Just to be again that like mentoring of Sam Raimi with that material. Like the next Evil Dead movie, I believe more in this guy than I believe in Lee Cronin, like 1,000%. No shade to Lee Cronin, but like, and I loved Evil Dead Rise. So go ahead, Abby.
I'd rate it a little bit lower. I still really like this, and I think with both of these directorial debuts that we watched, I see a lot of potential in both of them for different reasons. But this one, I would also give a 3.5. Again, like for all of the reasons I said, I can't wait to see his Evil Dead movie, and even just something else original that he does. Like that'll be fun too.
All right.
Yeah, no, I definitely really like this movie. It was a fun watch, easy watch for sure. It didn't need to be 2 hours. It really did not. It was it did drag a little bit at points with some of the predictable stuff, and I don't think that's just from seeing a lot of movies. I just think there could have been cut down to it should have been a 90-minute movie. I really do think so. I feel like the premise and everything, like it is nitpicky, but it also is like with a movie this quality, it felt really lazy. Even in the moment and then looking back at it. So 3.5 for me as well. I really did like the star of the movie as well. I called him Frank Ocean throughout the movie, but honestly, I think he has a lot of potential if they gave him more work as well. So I'd like to see him come over with the Evil Dead movie. I don't know if he can speak English or not, but that kid just seems like a star.
He probably can.
I really did like the lead. We didn't bring that up much, but I like that lead. He was really charismatic.
His name is Theo it's Theo Christine, but I imagine it's Theo Christon in French.
He's in Gran Turismo based on true story. So
he's in that. Is he the French guy?
I don't know. He's not the main guy, but I saw it. It was on his Letterboxd. So.
I watched Gran Turismo and I did not recognize.
He's probably just one of the race car guys. Yeah. Like he's probably not a big role. It's probably like Josh O'Connor and Cinderella as the ballroom guard.
Marcel Duran. So I imagine he's one of the 1,000 racers that are competing. One of the 15 racers that are competing for the spot.
Yep. That's all for our Gran Turismo review.
Gran Turismo, by the way, I took my daughter to see it. Not that it's a horror channel. I didn't mind it. It was not bad. Neil Blomkamp, perfect for him.
Your daughter enjoy it?
She fell asleep in the middle of it. but she loved the car racing when she woke back up. All right.
Seems like a very difficult movie to fall asleep to.
That being said, we'll move on to our normal little things we do every week. Let's see what we're doing for the week.
That's awesome.
Well then, that's the website. Last 5 letters, it's R, lowercase L, capital W, lowercase D, capital Y. There we go. We're on week 18, and we're in the 5-week block where you just pick movies that are in different languages. And this week, we're exploring the great wide world of Japanese horror, J-horror, as the cool kids like Dylan Vantine say. Well, we ended on Aaron, so we'll start with Aaron. What Japanese horror movie did you watch this week?
So the Japanese horror movie I watched, it was pretty hard because I actually was looking through it. I've watched a lot of the ones you're supposed to watch, which is nice. But this is one I've started a couple times, and I've had trouble getting through it. It's a little bit slow, but finally got me into it this time. It's Pulse, Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Pulse. Basically, it was like one of the first or earlier internet movies. So some of the internet horror with it is a little bit like, okay, welcome to the internet. But honestly, it holds up better than you realize. And when you look at it more just like from an isolation, like lonely perspective, it makes it a much more timeless story. Really good ghost story kind of aspects to it, and very earned jump scare along the way.
Dial up internet horror. Ooh.
It's no cure. It is no cure.
It's not cure. That I can't even argue. That is the true, no truer statement has ever been said.
But cure is
Abby, what did you watch, Abby?
So I watched a movie from 2001 directed by Takashi Miike. I watched Ichi the Killer, which another movie that's been on my list for like forever to watch, and I feel like I should have liked it more than I did. I thought it was good. I think it was too long. One of my biggest pet peeves is when movies are too long and they shouldn't be that long. This should not have been that long. And there's just weird stuff with the story and the characters that I didn't really like that much. But otherwise, I thought it was good. Again, I didn't like it as much as I thought I would, but it's still solid. Aaron's like upset with me, but
no, I'm not.
It's definitely it's good.
It's a little different than like Audition. I'll say that for sure.
I'd prefer Audition.
It's a way. It's definitely it's going this way from Audition. Yeah. I can understand somebody not liking both movies.
I said I understood. I just love the movie. That's all.
I'm a fan of Ichi the Killer too, but I can understand.
Yeah,
I totally understand. I chose a movie that's only slightly less old than your movies. 2005's Noroi the Curse by Koji Shiraishi, which I'd heard great things about. And like, it is a movie that we've seen the plot like a billion times, where it's like, I'm a paranormal investigator. Oh shit, this is real. However, done extremely well. There's a lot of like, it's a very good mystery, and like you really don't have any real idea what's going on unless you're really paying attention, like weaving through all the narrative. All the evidence is there, but obviously it's like an unfinished, unpolished movie that they find because it's found footage. Is it really found if it's produced? I don't know. It's a produced footage movie.
No,
is what I would call it. Even though it's a delivered footage movie, because you're watching a tape that he releases after his disappearance / maybe death. So it's in a weird gray area, but I guess it's found footage. I would recommend it. It's definitely of the what I call paranormalist fuck around and find out movies. It's on the upper half of it. So definitely check out Noroi the Curse if you get a chance. And that's basically going to do it for this week. If you made this far in the video, like, comment, subscribe, and share. The Facebook group is Why We Love Horror. The TikTok is below me, WWL Every Monday we got Versus. Every Thursday we got this. Horror Headlines coming up live at 9 on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, X. We're on every platform. We just stream everywhere. And every Friday you're going to get a double dose of Why We Love Horror trivia. But until then, we appreciate you being here. See you.